What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So I didn't know if it was going to happen because we're like halfway through January now, but Nintendo has finally announced their New Year's eShop sale for the US, and we're going to go over that here today because that, of course, means that there are several first-party games from Nintendo that typically don't go on sale because Nintendo. Those, however, are marked down, as well as some pretty good third-party titles to look forward to. Also, we're going to talk about Pokemon, as new Pokemon Snap now has a release date, and yes, that is the title, new Pokemon Snap. And there is a pretty big rumor that's starting to really circulate as of yesterday, talking about what the Pokemon Company could have in store for gamers later on this holiday. And we're also going to talk about an interesting Nintendo 64 mod that has Goldeneye and Mario 64 crossing over. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're newer to the SpawnWave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Super Nintendo World. It was supposed to be opening February 4th. Remember, we had that full direct. Miyamoto was going around super excited, showing off all these cool locations in the park. Looked really fun. It'd be really cool to get out there. I don't know if that'll happen anytime soon for me, but still something to see, I'm sure, online as people explore the park February 4th. Well, at least that was the original plan, as it looks like that will not be happening at this time. If we go over to The Verge here, we can see it says Universal Studios Japan has announced that Super Nintendo World will not be opening next month as planned. The Nintendo-themed zone of Osaka Park was supposed to open on February 4th after its launch was delayed from last year. But with Osaka being placed under a state of emergency declaration yesterday until at least February 7th, that's no longer going to happen. USJ says it will announce a new opening date once the state of emergency has been lifted. So obviously a tough situation here because Nintendo wants to open this theme park. They were supposed to have opened it last year around the time of the Olympics that were going to take place. They were going to open that. It was going to coincide with the Mario 35th anniversary, and all that's pretty much off the table now with the pandemic and COVID, and being able to open a theme park that's going to gather a ton of people together safely. These are all things they're going to have to figure out, and naturally you're not going to open a theme park during a state of emergency. So first they have to wait till that's lifted, which that could extend beyond the 7th. We'll see if they do lift it then. And at that time, I'm sure they'll start working out when they can finally open this park. Also, it does look like we have a Resident Evil showcase now to look forward to. Capcom announced this one yesterday. We can see this tweet. Don't miss the Resident Evil showcase on January 21st at 2 p.m. Pacific. Join Resident Evil producers and our host, Brittany Brombacher, Braun Nerd, on a guided tour of Resident Evil Village, including a new trailer, first ever gameplay, and more Resident Evil news. So first of all, with Resident Evil Village, we've seen a lot of leaks around this. Hopefully you've been able to avoid it if you were trying to. It was tough because they were even being posted just on Twitter. Some forums just posted stuff up. Basically, we saw images of like bosses and cutscenes and endings and all these different things, but this will be official gameplay, whereas the stuff that was leaking out was from like development builds, and things could have changed as they went through development. So excited to see what they have for us with Resident Evil Village and maybe some other surprises that we have not seen yet. But the other thing people were pointing to are other bits of Resident Evil news, as we saw that their website was taking closed beta signups or something, maybe the multiplayer side, and we still have that big rumor that's floating around right now about Resident Evil Revelations 3 that appears to be something even for the Switch. I wonder if they'll talk about that there. So a lot to look forward to even outside of Resident Evil Village, but even just seeing first official gameplay for that will be really cool. So look forward to this one. Oh, and there was one concern I had with Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, that being, do we have to play back through a good portion of Super Mario 3D World to get to the new content with Bowser's Fury? Does not look to be the case, however, as we can go over here. This was tweeted out by the 35th Mario Anniversary handle, saying both of them can be selected from the title screen, that being Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, as they have Fury World, and you can enjoy your favorite mode at any time. Which adventure do you start with? So right away, we get a title screen, and I assume we can pick either one and just jump into it. Now, I think I am going to start with Bowser's Fury first, although it sounds like 3D World will have different physics, and who knows, maybe people will just want to do multiplayer and jump into that and try that out. I still think I want to see the new content first because I've already played through 3D World, but I will still go back and do it again. because Super Mario 3D World is just a really good game. But I mean, you can't really ignore the fact that on the other side, we have a huge Super Saiyan Cat Mario versus like a Godzilla Bowser. I mean, you gotta try that first, right? And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo's New Year sale that they decided to finally announce. Let's go over here to their sales page, which will be linked down below in the sources if you want to go through and see if you can pick out any good deals here. But they say kick off your new year with savings on select digital games like Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics and Super Mario Maker 2. These deals last through basically the 22nd. So it's live now and you'll have all the way until the 22nd of January. And if we go down here, we can see some of the games on sale. That does include Clubhouse Games, which was $40 when it came out earlier last year. Now it's $27.99. That's not bad. I think for the compilation of games and kind of the fun you can have with it, it's probably worth that amount there for you. Immortals Phoenix Rising at $40. I think it's one of the more underrated games of last year, but I have seen it cheaper at retail. However, if you want it digitally, which I know there are a lot of people who want digital Switch titles just to make it more convenient when you're traveling with your Switch, that's not bad there at $40. Super Mario Maker 2, they have that marked down to $42. Puyo Puyo Tetris actually is down to $30. Ori and the Will of the Wisps isn't marked down much. It's down to about $25 there. Yoshi's Crafted World at $42. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker at $28. You know, that's a good one I think to pick up there. On the other side, however, you have Kirby Star Allies, which is marked down to $42. I didn't think that game was necessarily worth $6 when it came out, and now we're talking about it being marked down to $42. So it's like, I guess that seems perfect for a Nintendo Select section whenever they come up with that, along with ARMS. ARMS is also marked down to $40, but again, seems Nintendo Select bound if you ask me. Okami HD there at $10. Katamari Damacy also just under $10. Two good ones to grab there. Castle Crashers Remastered, $9. Those are some pretty good ones to get for less than $10. Splatoon 2 being at $42 is pretty good because I feel like you can get a lot of time out of that game. And I mean, a lot of people picked it up for $60 and are still playing it since it released, so good one there. Mega Man Zero ZX Collection at $20. I think the compilation of games is probably worth that kind of money and you'll get a lot of time out of that one. And then Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2, less than $10, absolute steal. Also, interestingly enough, we have a discount on the Control Ultimate Edition. That's the cloud version. That's down 30%. We have Alien Isolation down to $20, and Cyber Shadow, which is not out yet. That's coming out later on this month. That's been marked down 25% for the pre-order. So I think I say this every time we look at these. Nintendo just doesn't typically mark down or lower their MSRP at retail for their different games unless they get to a point where they do have Nintendo Selects. So yeah, you're seeing ARMS still at $60 being marked down now to $42. That does seem strange in the overall landscape of games and how fast we'll see games drop in price. Nintendo just values their IPs very highly and they don't like to drop prices. But I mean, they keep selling a lot of these games, so why would they drop the prices? I get that. But I am a little surprised they didn't have like Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey or Mario Kart or Mario Tennis, just something else to throw in on top of these games. Because usually we could say, okay, yep, there's Breath of the Wild. It's $40. Yes, I know that's still not a massive markdown, but it's definitely a standout here on the list. There's no massive standout to me when I look at the first party lineup they have here. Maybe Super Mario Maker 2. You could make a case for Splatoon 2 even. Otherwise, though, no big Mario or Zelda game or like even Mario Kart. Throw that in there. It's sold so many now you figure it's a good one to put there. Nothing like that, however. But not bad in terms of some of the third-party games. And I mean, there are a lot of games that are less than $10 that are absolute steals in there. Next up, we have a release date for Pokemon Snap, or I guess now we can call it New Pokemon Snap. They released a 90-second trailer for this game to tell us that the release date is April 30th. It hit trending immediately. I think it was like number 4 last time I checked, and it was just rolling along there. And you know what, from what I've seen, it looks pretty good. Now, I have different expectations for things like a big mainline Pokemon game like Sword and Shield versus more of a spin-off like Pokemon Snap, right? I mean, we've only had one Pokemon Snap game before, and that was on the Nintendo 64. Cool concept, very different from what we had at that time, and now we've seen all types of Pokemon spin-offs, but there's still that nostalgia factor there for me when I see Pokemon Snap or new Pokemon Snap now. So looking at what Bandai's been able to do here, I'm pretty excited to see it. I think visually it looks better than Let's Go, and even Sword and Shield. But remember, with the Pokemon Snap series, it's much more controlled. You're on rails. It's not free roaming necessarily. You're not moving around and anything can happen then. They kind of know where you're going to be at any given time, and they can script stuff around it, and for the most part have a more controlled development with these different levels. So I am curious how this is going to go over with gamers now versus how it did back in the late 90s, because Pokemon Snap isn't like a long game. It's a bit shorter, like you can get through it pretty quick. So it's going to come down to how many levels there are, of course, but then how many branching paths do we have, and how many different ways do you have to move Pokemon around with apples or different things to get them to evolve? How many hidden Pokemon will there be? There's a lot of things to this, because from what we've heard, there's a couple hundred Pokemon confirmed now. So there is a lot of potential to get several runs out of each one of these tracks. So if there's like 8 of them, but you got to go through each one like 5 or 6 times minimum to get everything, you can see how that playtime could end up adding up to over 10 hours. But from what I've seen so far, very excited to check this one out. But then we get to the big rumor that was circulating all over the internet yesterday, and that has to do with plans around the Pokemon 25th anniversary, when a lot of the reveals are going to happen, and what big Pokemon title will be ready for holiday 2021. Because remember, last year, for the holidays, there was no big Pokemon release. It felt kind of strange because typically people are used to that. Instead, we had kind of the DLC, the second part of it, and I saw a lot of people were pretty happy with what they got out of it, but still, no big Pokemon game there. Well, now we might be getting a clear picture as to what is coming out this holiday, and it is kind of what we've been talking about for what feels like a year and a half now with some of these rumors. But we can go over here to Video Games Chronicles, who did talk a bit about this around Centro Pokemon, who claims to have been informed by sources close to the Pokemon Company that will announce the games in February to coincide with the franchise's 25th anniversary, that being Diamond and Pearl from the Nintendo DS. And this is going to be an interesting one, because this is, like I said before, not the first time we've heard of this. However, it goes a little further than that. Potentially lending weight to the report is Centro Pokemon's discovery that a diamondpearl.pokemon.com domain has been enabled. The URL currently returns a 403 error, meaning access to the requested resource is forbidden, but it may suggest the Pokemon Company has created blocked content under the Diamond and Pearl name. And then to go a bit further, we do have Helios kind of backing up these claims. So this is all still rumor territory. It was just being spread around so much because we've been hearing a lot about the possibility of Diamond and Pearl seeing a full-blown remake for this holiday. Like I said, as far back as like last year, I was starting to hear stuff about this. So it's not a massive secret. It feels like a lot of people have been talking about it. It feels almost obvious at this point. Everyone seems to want Diamond and Pearl remakes, and my one concern was that they were going to have Let's Go be the path that they go with Diamond and Pearl. However, that does not appear to be the case here, as part of the rumor is saying that it will be more or less the classic or the traditional Pokemon route that they take with this, like Sword and Shield. Now, the interesting thing about that URL, diamondpearl.pokemon.com with the 403 error, does show that there is something there, just being redirected away from it. Rather than saying no website found, it's just saying, oh, this is a forbidden domain or URL, so you can't go to it, which means, yes, they could be getting the pages all set, ready to go. And then when they do eventually reveal this, which again, the rumors are now pointing to February, although I thought they would have had something, Nintendo or Pokemon Company, something ready to go for January, but like it's seeming less and less likely now with a lot of things going on currently with COVID, the pandemic, remote work, that maybe Nintendo just won't be ready to do some sort of event that's not like a partner showcase until they get a lot of that stuff figured out. So yeah, I guess coincide with the 25th anniversary, as long as it's in February, they can do so. And then we hear about all these big Pokemon projects, merchandise, cards, Pokemon Unite, maybe some other smaller games, and then the Diamond and Pearl remake. So I guess we can look forward to what Pokemon has for us next month. It makes sense all the way around with kind of the hints and the teases and different things they're doing now with the website and the 25th anniversary next month. In our last bit of news, let's talk about how Mario has absolutely had it with the Mushroom Kingdom. So much so that we now have Mario and Goldeneye crossing over on the Nintendo 64, and IGN, actually, strangely enough, was the channel that posted this video up showcasing this modification for the Nintendo 64 that anyone could try. By the way, it's available online now. And we can see Mario going into first-person mode with a silenced pistol going through and just taking out Koopas left and right. Yeah, just running through Peach's castle, all different. It didn't look like you go in the paintings from what I was seeing there, but it did actually go together better than I thought it would. Like, if someone said, oh, we're gonna mix Mario and Goldeneye, I'd say that'd be strange, but then you see it in action, and it's like, oh, that actually works, interestingly enough. Now, this was shown on emulation. However, according to the patch notes, which if you look on N64 Vault, we can see this is done by Stupid Mario Bros. 1 fan. It also says the date's 2018, so I almost wonder if this is just an older mod that everyone just kind of started noticing now, or if there's just been more and more work done to it recently that maybe made it work better or is just more functional. It does appear that this works on real hardware, so I'm a little curious myself to try this one out. Now, it appears to need a Goldeneye 007 ROM, and then they're just taking assets from Mario 64 and kind of putting it on it, overlaying it, which, I mean, makes sense just how it looks. It looks more Goldeneye, I guess, than Mario, the way it's being played, but interesting stuff there. That's my big thing is I have to try it on the Nintendo 64, especially with the frame rate we're used to. For Goldeneye being like 9 or 10 frames, maybe they even got it so that it works better there. I don't know, we'll see, but interesting stuff. You can check out the mod for yourself. I'll link it down below in the sources. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Lewis saying, let's start by re-releasing the old Rogue Squadrons on Switch. That would be an easy cash grab for them. So I thought about that naturally as soon as we see Star Wars just getting passed around like to Ubisoft to try out, and then we hear that EA will no longer have exclusive rights to creating new Star Wars games. Rogue Squadron came up immediately, right? Because it's one of my favorite games on the GameCube. But the interesting thing about that is we've seen older Star Wars games get licensed out for remasters already. So I almost wonder if they could have done that if they wanted to. But remember, we also had Star Wars Squadrons come out that's kind of using that name already. So maybe that was off limits for it. I would love to see Star Wars Rogue Squadron Collection come out. So it has the 2 Rogue Squadron games from the GameCube, and then they go back to the game that they had started to develop for the Wii, which is gonna be a 3rd game, and just start developing that for current platforms with the Switch. That would be really cool. Like Nintendo goes out and says, can we get Factor 5 back together? Can we do this? I hope so. That would be amazing. I would love to see another Rogue Squadron game. I'd be all over that. I'd be all over the collection. Let's get that done, Nintendo. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Well, there's Nintendo's New Year's sale. Did you find anything in there that you're interested in? Let people know down below any good deals. And then also, what do you think about the Pokemon Snap release date and the trailer that was shown? And then Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, big time remakes for this holiday. Are you on board with that for the 25th anniversary? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.